parents canceled my birthday for my entitled sister who threw a tantrum to go on a trip, so I moved out with Grandpa who cut off their money and revealed they never wanted me. Parents canceled my birthday for my entitled sister who threw a tantrum to go on a trip, so I moved out with Grandpa who cut off their money and revealed they never wanted me. Hi, so I just turned 18 a couple of days ago, but unfortunately, my parents canceled my party at the very last minute because my bratty older sister demanded it. To be honest, she wasn't even supposed to be here for the party, and I was really happy about it, but it's just my luck that the day she was supposed to leave, all the flights got canceled because of severe storms in the Midwest. She was supposed to leave for NYC 3 days before my birthday with a bunch of her friends, but for now, they have had to postpone the trip. And she has been extremely upset about it, which means that my parents have been walking on eggshells around her because they really don't want to piss her off. I mean, they wouldn't dare, she is the golden child of our family after all. So much so that on the morning of my birthday, she demanded that my birthday be cancelled because if she doesn't get to have fun, either will I, and of course, my parents didn't even think twice before sending out the message to every single person who had been invited, and I found out about it much later, around the evening, when I was patiently waiting for all the guests to arrive, but nobody was coming by. And when I finally asked my parents why had nobody arrived even by 7 in the evening, they finally told me that they had cancelled the party without even asking me because my sister was very upset, and they didn't think that it would be right to have a party when she was in such a state. It was done that I completely lost my temper and started screaming at my parents because it was just so unfair. My parents always had acted very differently with my sister, catering to her every need more than mine, and expecting me to compromise and adjust throughout my life. And I always had done that. But this was just taking things way too far. It was my parents who had offered to organize my 18th birthday party for me and had invited all my friends and relatives so we could have a big birthday bash. And now, they had cancelled all of it without even telling me just because my sister was whining about some trip that got cancelled for very valid reasons, and it wasn't even in anybody's control. My parents had also been sly enough to tell all the guests that the reason they were canceling the party was because I had fallen sick all of a sudden, and they had requested everyone specifically not to text me about it until the next day because then I would end up being on my phone, and that was the last thing that I needed with my migraine. So nobody had even texted me and I wasn't able to figure out what was going on until the last minute. As soon as my parents told me what was happening, I started fighting with them and screaming at them. I was extremely upset because it wouldn't be in my place. And even then, the only thing that they were concerned about was me being too loud because they were worried that my sister would wake up from her nap. I couldn't care less about that, and I just went on screaming until my sister came downstairs and started defending our parents, saying that they had done nothing wrong. She claimed that she was the one who had said that she didn't want anybody partying or having any sort of celebration at a time when she was so upset because it would just be heartless. And if I couldn't see that, then I was really the most spoiled and entitled person. The sheer audacity to even say that to me after what she had done pissed me off to such a level that I just started blindly cursing at her, and I grabbed her hair and tried to shake her so things ended up getting physical. Our parents had to break us apart, and I guess we didn't hear the doorbell ringing until we finally stopped fighting. My parents were very sure that they had uninvited everyone, but when they opened the door, my grandpa was standing outside. My paternal grandfather is really a force to be reckoned with, and everyone in the family fears and respects him a lot, including my parents. So having him at the door was not good news for them. And as soon as the door was open, he stepped inside and started inquiring about why there was so much yelling and cursing, and he looked at me for answers because, well, I was the one who was cursing the most. Usually, I wouldn't tell anyone about the kind of treatment that I received from my parents because it was very petty, but this time, I had absolutely nothing and told my grandpa everything. I was very upset with my parents and my sister, and I didn't think there was any point in trying to hide the truth anymore because that would just encourage them to treat me even worse. It was time to speak up, and so I did. I also told him that my sister being treated like the favorite was not even just a one-off incident, it was something that I have had to put up with every single day, for the past 18 years of my life, but this incident was the limit, and I couldn't put up with this anymore. And as soon as I was done talking about it, I could see that my grandpa was absolutely appalled. The shock was visible on his face, and within a few seconds, he snapped at my father and started scolding him, and I got to find out a lot of things that so far, I had no idea about. My grandpa started scolding my father because apparently he had been sending money to my parents every month for the past couple of years because my parents had been struggling to keep their business going and also supported our family. So it was really my grandfather who had been supporting us all along. That birthday party my parents were trying to take credit for? Yeah, turns out Grandpa had footed the entire bill. When he found out how they treated me, he laid into them hard. He said it was clear from how I acted that I'd been emotionally beat down over the years thanks to the way they always put my sister first. He didn't raise his voice, but you could hear the disappointment plain as day. My parents just stood there, not saying a word, letting him speak. But my sister, being her usual loudmouth self, tried to argue. She actually told Grandpa that she only wanted the party cancelled because she was devastated. Her NYC trip got called off, and it was just heartless of me to want to celebrate while she was suffering. Grandpa wasn't having any of that crap. He cut her off cold and told her she was acting like a spoiled brat. Told her straight up that demanding someone cancel their 18th birthday just because she didn't get her way was the height of selfishness. Said the world didn't revolve around her, and judging by the stunned look on her face, I don't think anyone had ever told her that before. Her attitude just made Grandpa even angrier. He turned back to my parents and told them that he was done helping them financially. No more monthly checks. No more bailing them out. They were on their own from now on. Then, he looked at me and said if I wanted to leave, I should pack my bags and come with him. He said it was clear my parents only cared about my sister, and he wasn't about to let me keep living like that. What really got to me was that even after all that, the only thing my parents seemed to care about was losing Grandpa's money. They didn't even flinch when he said I'd be moving out with him. Didn't argue. Didn't try to stop me. That just proved everything he said about them was true. They couldn't care less about me. So I didn't waste any time. I went upstairs to pack while they stood downstairs trying to sweet-talk Grandpa into changing his mind. I threw everything I could into a couple of bags and came back down ready to go. Grandpa didn't even look back at my dad as we walked out the door. On the drive to his place, Grandpa apologized to me. He said he should have stepped in sooner, that he wished he had done something years ago. I'm not sure what all he meant by that, but I was just thankful to finally be out of that house. Honestly, the only folks who aren't happy about this setup are my parents. They've been blowing up my phone nonstop. I haven't blocked them, but I haven't answered either. I've read every message, but I haven't responded to a single one. They've been texting saying they're sorry, that they didn't realize how badly they were treating me. Claimed they always gave my sister more attention because she was more delicate, and her emotions were fragile. Said they thought I was tough enough to handle being overlooked. But come on. My sister's 5 years older than me. If anyone should have been able to handle being a little less pampered, it was her, not me. So no, I didn't buy into their apologies. It was obvious they were only saying all this because they were scared Grandpa wouldn't help them anymore. They didn't mean a word of it. All I ever wanted was one real, honest apology, but that never came. This morning, I finally snapped. I told my dad to stop messaging me. I said I knew exactly why they were suddenly acting all concerned, because they wanted Grandpa's money, not because they cared about me. I told them I didn't want fake apologies. I was done. They'd shown me exactly where I stood when they canceled my birthday behind my back. That was it for me, the final straw. I wasn't ever coming back. Then, my dad replied saying he knew they'd been unfair. Said both he and my mom were ready to apologize and do whatever it takes to make things right. Well, they shouldn't have said that part, because I took them up on it. I told them the only way I'd even consider coming back or talking to Grandpa about helping them out again was if they agreed to have my sister move out. She's 23 years old, been working for 2 years, she should have saved enough by now to get her own place. I didn't think I was being unreasonable, but they acted like I just suggested throwing her out on the street. Said I was being cruel and heartless. So now I'm wondering, am I really the jerk for telling my parents I'd only return if my sister moved out? Quick edit. Some folks were asking why I never brought this up with anyone in the family before. Well, honestly, it always just seemed like petty stuff. Like if we ordered pizza and there was one slice left, I was told to leave it in case my sister wanted it. If she didn't, then I could have it. Same with any takeout, we always had to check if she liked something before I was allowed to finish it. I also wasn't allowed to dress in any style that she liked. My parents said I couldn't copy her look, because that was her thing. So I ended up mostly wearing her hand-me-downs since we were close in size. I barely got any new clothes of my own. Yeah, on paper it sounds like little things, but over time, all that stuff builds up. She was always the one they catered to. And while it might not seem big enough to tell the relatives about, it still wore me down. Honestly, I didn't speak up because I knew it would just make my parents mad. And deep down, I guess I figured nobody would care about the small stuff, anyway. So I kept my mouth shut. When I said Grandpa's a force to be reckoned with, I wasn't kidding. Everyone in the family holds him in high regard. The man used to be one of the top lawyers around, known for taking on tough cases and actually winning them. He's as straight-laced and sharp as they come, lives a strict, clean life, and yeah, he's loaded, too. So naturally, he's the one everyone looks up to. I guess I could have gone to him sooner about how my parents were treating me, but truth is, up until last year, he had his hands full. My grandma was in really bad shape, and Grandpa was taking care of her full-time in her final days. He was already dealing with so much, and I didn't want to dump my own problems on him. They felt small compared to what he was going through. And then when Grandma passed, he was grieving hard. I figured it wasn't the time to bring up the way I was being pushed aside at home. But now that he stepped in and offered to help me, I'm seriously thankful. We've always been close, so it wasn't a shock when he told me I could stay with him until I left for college. Even better, he said he's going to cover all my college expenses until I'm able to support myself. I mean, that's huge. Update 1. I've decided I'm sticking to the condition I gave my parents. Just to be clear, I have no intention of moving back in with them. Not even if they kick my sister out like I said. I just want to see if they'll actually do it. That'll show me if they're truly serious about wanting me back or if my sister still ranks above their own survival. I haven't told Grandpa about this little test, but honestly, there's stuff he didn't tell me either, things I only found out recently. Like the fact that he knew all along that my parents never really wanted me. He told me himself when we had a long talk the other day. I never understood why they clearly favored my sister, it never made sense. She didn't have any special qualities that would explain it. That's when Grandpa told me the truth. My parents had only ever planned on having one kid. Then, 5 years after my sister was born, Mom got pregnant with me. They didn't want to go through with it, and were planning to terminate the pregnancy. But then Dad opened his mouth and told my mom's parents. And her parents, being who they were, insisted that another baby was a blessing they shouldn't reject. They pressured my parents into keeping the pregnancy. But things took a dark turn. When my mom was 8 months along, my maternal grandparents got into a horrific car crash. They fought for their lives in the hospital but didn't make it. The loss hit my mom hard. She had some kind of breakdown while still pregnant with me. Grandpa said she started blaming me for everything, convinced that I brought bad luck into their lives. She had to be hospitalized for a bit. When she came back, she was doing a little better, but deep down, both my parents regretted going through with the pregnancy. They even planned to put me up for adoption after I was born. But Grandpa and Grandma on my dad's side put their foot down. They told my parents that was nonsense, and refused to let them give me away. So they raised me, reluctantly. Grandpa told me all of this after I asked him about the comment he made in the car, about how he should have stepped in a long time ago. Now I know exactly what he meant. And yeah, he was right. He should have. Knowing this now, I finally understand why they treated me so differently all these years. And I've made peace with the fact that I'll never go back to that house. What I'm doing now, keeping my distance, is more than justified. They punished me for just existing, for something completely out of my control. At least I'm not punishing them for something that wasn't their fault. What I'm doing is based on what they've actually done. I'm still a little bitter that Grandpa didn't come clean sooner, but I get it. It's not easy talking about stuff like that, especially to a kid. He's the only one I can count on now, so I'm trying to let go of the resentment. Update 2. It's been a week and 4 days since I moved out, and my parents are still trying to talk me out of the condition I gave them. I haven't said a word back. I didn't see the point in responding until they gave me a straight answer. For the past 3 days, I hadn't heard a peep from them. I figured maybe they finally gave up. But then today, as I was leaving school, I spotted my sister standing outside, and my gut instantly told me it wasn't going to be good. So I asked one of my guy friends to walk me home. He's on the football team and kind of built like a linebacker, so I knew if anything went sideways I'd be safe. He's been my friend for years and knows all the drama with my family. So he didn't hesitate to walk with me. Meanwhile, my sister trailed behind us like some kind of horror movie extra, not saying a word, just following. It was creepy as hell. About halfway home, I spun around and asked her straight up what she thought she was doing. She said she wasn't going to say anything in front of a stranger. I told her flat out, I wasn't going to say anything to her at all. Then she started in on how stressed our parents are. How they're heartbroken and overwhelmed and how it's all my fault because I've been acting cruel. She said they told her yesterday that I refused to come home, or even talk to Grandpa about helping them out again, unless she was kicked out. And she came to confront me about it because she thinks I'm being unfair. I just laughed. Told her that if I can't be happy, then neither can she. That whole, if I can't be happy, neither can you thing? Yeah, that was the exact same logic she used to get my birthday party cancelled. So I figured it was only fair that it applied to her now too. I turned around and kept walking home with my buddy, but she started shouting behind me, calling me a horrible person. I didn't even turn back, I just kept walking and gave her the finger. That must have been what really set her off, because the next thing I knew, she tackled me from behind and I hit the ground. I had my backpack on, so between that and her body weight, it knocked the wind out of me. But thank God for my friend, he stepped in right away. Within seconds, I felt her get yanked off of me. I got up and dusted myself off, and there he was, holding her back with one arm like it was nothing. That moment really confirmed I made the right call having him walk me home. My sister's always had a nasty temper, and I knew she was capable of snapping. Still, I was beyond ticked off that she actually thought she could just attack me and face no consequences. So I walked up to her, gave her a hard slap across the face, and told her if she ever tried something like that again, I'd go straight to the cops. I told her our parents already had enough problems, and I doubted they'd be too thrilled if she got herself arrested. Even after all that, she still tried to argue with me. But I turned around and kept walking. My friend stuck by my side, and after that slap, she didn't dare follow us anymore. When we got back to Grandpa's, I told him everything that had happened. He immediately said he was calling the police, but I stopped him. I told him it wasn't worth the trouble, she's pathetic, and honestly, I think she finally got the message. I also told him about the little condition I'd given my parents, the one about kicking her out. I expected him to be upset, but instead, he just laughed. Said it was smart, and that my parents absolutely deserved to be messed with a little after all they'd done. So that was that. Yeah, I was a little sore from getting tackled, but it honestly felt good to finally stand up for myself, and to land that slap. She'd had it coming for a long time. Now I'm just hoping they all got the message and leave me alone from here on out. Update 3. So it's been almost a full month since I left that house. I'm starting college in September, so I've only got a couple more months living with Grandpa. School's officially done, and I just had my high school graduation a few days ago. Oh, and my prom date? It was my boyfriend. Yeah, the football player friend I mentioned earlier. A few of you probably guessed it already, but I figured I'd toss that little happy update in before diving into more drama. Anyway, 2 days after my sister ambushed me, I got a message from my parents. They said they'd made the decision. They were going to let my sister stay with them because apparently, I'm not the kind of influence they want around her. According to them, I've always been jealous and petty. They flat out told me that the only reason they wanted me back was because they needed Grandpa's financial help. But now, they didn't need it anymore because my mom's older brother had agreed to become a business partner and invest. So, in their words, they didn't need me either. I'm sure they thought that message would sting. But honestly, I already knew. I'd seen through them from day one, so none of that came as a surprise. I didn't even bother replying. But I guess the silence got to them, because a few hours later they sent another message, this time saying they were blocking me. Called me a horrible person, just like my sister had said. Said I was heartless, violent, and ungrateful. Violent, because I slapped my sister. No mention of how she jumped me and shoved me to the ground, of course. Either they didn't know, or they just didn't care. And ungrateful, because apparently, after everything they did for me, I still had the nerve to call them bad parents. They tried to throw in that classic guilt trip, you know, how they raised me, paid for my food, school, clothes, all that stuff. I've never understood why some parents bring that up like it's some huge sacrifice. That's just part of being a parent, isn't it? That's the bare minimum. Raising your kid doesn't make you a saint. But I guess to my parents, doing the basics was enough to earn some kind of lifelong devotion. Like I should be worshipping them just because they didn't abandon me at birth. I was tempted to reply, I really was. I had a lot I wanted to say. But in the end, I figured it wasn't worth it. So before they could block me out of spite, I went ahead and blocked them first. That was it. I was done. These days, Grandpa and I are doing pretty well together. It's peaceful. I've already been accepted into several colleges I applied to, and I'm still waiting on a few of the bigger names. Once I decide where I'm going, Grandpa's going to cover all the costs, just like he promised. We're still figuring out how to live together though. I won't lie, every now and then, I catch myself getting a little bitter at him for not stepping in sooner. But I also know he had his own struggles, his own reasons. He's trying now. And I can see that he really does regret not helping me back when I needed him most. At least now, I'm not stuck dealing with my parents on my own. It's different. I've got someone in my corner. And if I'm lucky, my parents will stay far away from me for good. Update 4. Hey there, it's officially been a full year since I moved out, and I just wanted to say thanks for all the kind messages and support you guys send my way. It meant a lot. Life's pretty great right now. From what I've heard, my entire dad's side of the family has cut off my parents and my sister completely. My mom's side still talks to them a bit, but Grandpa made sure everyone else saw through the facade. Once he stopped speaking to them, people started asking questions, and the truth came out. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who thought their behavior was messed up. Once people found out what was really going on, my parents got ostracized by most of the family. Honestly, I think it's the only outcome that made sense. You treat someone like garbage long enough, it comes back around. As for my sister? I don't have a clue what she's up to these days, and I'm not really interested. But I did hear she finally moved out last week and is living on her own. That's actually what reminded me to come back and post this update. On my end, things have just kept getting better. My boyfriend, the same football player who had my back through all this, is still around. We're doing great, and since my college is close to home, I head back on weekends and we hang out then. I've made a bunch of friends at college too. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I'm starting fresh, as if I'm finally becoming the person I was meant to be without all the weight of my parents' expectations dragging me down. Grandpa and I have also gotten even closer. He's honestly my favorite person on the planet. Sure, he's made his mistakes, but who hasn't? The important part is, he's been trying, and I've forgiven him. We've moved on together. So yeah? I'm doing good now. Really good. Thanks again for everything, you guys.